November, OUTshine Film Festival's Fort Lauderdale Virtual Edition, featuring queer films from all over the world. Presenting 18 feature films and 3 shorts programs, plus a drive-in movie night at Pier 66. Watch the best LGBTQ+ films from home. Tickets are on sale now. Check out the program at OUTshineFilm.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Victor Gimenez. I'm your executive director for the OUTshine LGBTQ+ Film Festival. We are presented by Gilead and Broward County. I'd like to welcome all of you here to the virtual Q&A for No Hard Feelings. Hopefully you enjoyed the film as much as I did. So we have 2 guests from that film today. First, I will be bringing in co-writer and producer Paulina Lorenz. Paulina, welcome.
Hi.
And then we also have lead actor Benjamin Radjaipour. Benjamin, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
No, most definitely. Like I said in the intro, I really did enjoy your film a lot. And then, let's get going to it. The first question is actually to Paulina. Where did the idea for the film come from, and how was the journey to get it made?
Well, the idea from the film was quite a personal one from the director and the writer Faraz. The film was based a lot on his own experiences growing up as a gay son of Irani immigrants in Germany, he knew that he wanted to make a feature film after having filmed some documentaries with his parents before, and Foto 3 kind of became like a fictionalization of his growing up. So we turned it into a coming-of-age film and included the meeting of different generations of Iranian immigration. So it's the son of exile Iranis who grew up in Germany, who meets Irani siblings who have just come to Germany.
Thank you. And actually, I'm going to ask a second question, because since you said it was based on his life experience and also growing up, I'm guessing or maybe I'm wrong, but the footage in the beginning of the film and also a little bit throughout, where it was like the home videos of Parvis as a little boy dressed up as Sailor Moon, is that actual home video footage, or did you kind of recreate the look of it?
No, it is actual home video footage of Faraz, the director, and that's kind of like a different origin story of the film, is that Faraz's dad, who's actually playing the dad in the film, it's his actual father, and in the year that we started writing the script, Faraz's dad gave him 40 hours of VHS footage, and Faraz watched through all of it and was so mesmerized by how his dad and his parents kind of captured his childhood in Germany in the 90s. So we really wanted to include it in the film.
It worked well, and also I have to say that when I saw, it was like a scene where I think it cut from like the dad in the movie to the home video dad. I'm like, how'd they do that? Normally, I now you answered the question in that it's the same person, but years later. But that's actually great little detail to know. Benny, how did you come to the film? How were you cast, and what was that process?
I was in my last year of studies in Berlin, studying acting. I was in an acting program, and then Raquel, who did the casting, I think she approached me. She was looking through theater and film actors that were around my age or in their early to mid-20s who spoke Farsi. And I think that's how she found me, through, I guess, researching acting programs and theaters. And then we got together. I think I met Paulina a little later on. So my first meeting was with Faraz and Raquel, and there was no script yet. It was more of a expose and sort of a very elaborate explanation of what the political, cultural, aesthetic agenda of the film would be. and yeah, that's how I got involved early on. And then there were some chemistry tests where I think they tried out a couple of constellations, but then I think pretty soon it was clear that I would play the role of Parvis. And then over the next 2 years, it really was a lot of collaborative effort on supervising versions of the script, talking about representation of certain things and narratives, and how Banafsheh, Aydin, and I felt about certain aspects of the film and the characters, and yeah.
Sure. Then Benjamin, you had a lot of very intense scenes. Also, just like, quite frankly, a lot of graphic scenes on the film. Was it difficult for you to perform these scenes? How you definitely exposed yourself in the intense scenes emotionally, but also just in the physical scenes, just physically. How were those to perform?
Well, thank you. I think if there's enough preparation and also just conversation about what these scenes, how these scenes are embedded in the film, and what they sort of serve as, because they are always at service to the greater arc of scenes and moments with this character. I think once you feel embedded and you know what you're doing, I think it's already less of an issue to do these scenes. Then another aspect is, I think I come from theater, and everything is really, I don't know, it's a lot about play and rehearsal and just jumping into things. And so I experience that these kinds of scenes, they become quite sportive. It's very, in the beginning, it's a little, there's nerves and you're a little shy, or also it's just strange to have your body exposed on a set like that. But then, because there's always certain rules, and also the team really made sure that we felt safe about everything. It was a smaller context than maybe bigger scenes, so it was less people. It was the DP, Faraz, and I think 1 or 2 people more, and that was it. So yeah, I just felt safe. And also, to be honest, these scenes, maybe talking about nudity, that's something that maybe one person or another would stumble upon, but like in general, those scenes aren't really the most challenging to me, because they get it's so much about routine and image, that once you feel safe with your partner and the director, and also we were very convinced that we wanted these scenes in the film, that we wanted them to be as graphic or explicit as we could, and also help sort of stylize maybe certain positions, just to make, just to bring, the sexual practices of queer people, or in this case, 2 homosexual men, into a sort of norm. Because usually, I think when sex between 2 men or 2 women, or male or female presenting, AMAB, AFAB, people are, mostly when that's represented in film, it's sort of always through a certain lens. And so knowing what these scenes are for and how important they are to the story and to the empowerment of this character, yeah, I think I felt okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, like they definitely came across, and I was just very curious about that. Paulina, you told, you basically said how the story came about. How did your involvement to the film come about?
Well, Faraz and I went to university together, so we studied together and got to know each other, and started shooting music videos. That was kind of the first thing we did as a collective, and we really clicked over like a love of pop culture and a certain kind of aesthetic that I think you can also see in this film, even though it has many different aesthetics. And it was really clear that, yeah, we were going to work together. And when Faraz came to me and told me this, and it wasn't more than saying, I want to make a film about like my story and my family. And from then on, we started working together. And for me, it was very challenging, but also really, really stimulating and inspiring to work together so closely with someone else's like family knowledge and story and images, because it's not mine. But I think that, yeah, sometimes it's also helpful to have an outside view of something. And there's certain things that Faraz and I share as like young queer people, political people. Yeah, so it was a very, very close collaboration from the start. But like Benjamin also said, the same with the actors. Like we're just a very close group of people and friends who, yeah, talk together a lot.
Yeah, you kind of answered. You kind of answered one of my upcoming questions, but I wanted to kind of just point out like certain things that I really enjoyed about the film and the story. One was about the immigrant experience and just like nice details about it. Where Parvis, didn't feel Iranian, but didn't necessarily feel entirely German. His parents, they gave up so much for their kids, but they still wanted to go back to Iran. The fact that though, he was a translator, there are different dialects. You're not necessarily going to understand everybody, even though technically you're speaking the same language. I mean, that's happened to me here in Miami, where I speak Spanish, but my upbringing was Cuban American. So my dialect is that. And I talk to someone else, sometimes I can't understand or they can't understand what I'm saying just because it is a dialect. So I thought those were nice details that were there. The other thing that I really enjoyed, I'm executive director of an LGBT film festival. I've seen a lot of gay films. The story was familiar but not predictable. In other words, yes, it's a coming of age stories, and I've seen enough of these movies that they have a certain flow to them. But it felt so refreshing that the parents were, and Iranian parents were accepting, or supportive, I guess is a better word, of their son. It was refreshing to know that when the relationship started and they were basically caught in the immigrant center, it wasn't the standard narrative. Aman came to Parvis's defense, and I just wanted to throw it out there. Those are nice details that some were probably fictionalized, some were based on true things, but there were noticeable details that, quite frankly, for me, made it a very real story, which a lot of it probably is, and also just didn't make it like the same standard predictable stories. I wanted to give compliments to you two, and as well as everybody else from that. I just wanted to point those out. Benjamin, with all that being said, what was your favorite scene in the movie? What scene did you really like? How either your performance turned out or just how it looked in the movie? What was your favorite scene in the film?
I think the most exciting day, or maybe there's 2 days. I think one of the Parvis birthday with all these family members and the sister, and I think that was a very special day to shoot, because I had never been in a working context where there were so many, first of all, queer people of color, women, behind the camera and in sort of positions of power when it comes to what the story is that's being told and how it's told. And also just being able to speak my mother tongue or have people speak it around me, and that not being an issue, or that part of my identity not being sort of a fringe aspect of the process, but that just being part of it naturally. But I think my favorite scenes by far, and also shooting them, were this sort of journey through the night with Banafshe, Parvis, and Aman, where Banafshe and Parvis, they start, drinking and loosening up a little bit, and then they go buy candy, and then they meet up with Aman, and they just have a beautiful, joyous, sort of sensual night. And it's really quite innocent and beautiful. And I really, really love those scenes, because you really get to feel the bond between the three of them. And I think also what you were saying, it's so important that this film it's not a film about catharsis through pity. it is about, we're not negating the issues, we're not negating the problematic aspects of these lives and the privilege and everything that comes with maybe the narrative of Parvis. But these, when you're trying to bring people on screen that are have experienced migration or come from an experience of immigration, or maybe even might seek asylum somewhere, these young people, they don't always just live in their misery. These are people with desires and hopes and joys, and they seek to also live sensual lives as all of us. And I think that's the ordinary, sensual, joyful moments in this film are the things that I'm really proud of. And I think that those are the moments that sort of set the film apart maybe from other films that explore these kinds of narratives.
Yeah, I really think like the lightness and the everydayness is very, it's in a way remarkable. And it's interesting because in a way, this everydayness also, like, you come back to the home videos. So I think it's really interesting how the home videos have this are so powerful because they show the everyday of this German-Iranian family, like, of course, belonging to Germany in the 90s. And then we kind of repeat this everydayness and belonging through everyday actions in the Foto 3.
So Paulina, are those scenes also your favorite, or is there did you also have another type of specific favorite scene in the film?
I think my favorite scene, one of them that I really love, is when Arman and Banafshe, they're on their bikes and they're biking to Arman's birthday party, and it's a surprise. And it's kind of this shot that we've seen like a million times. I don't know, at least in Germany. I don't know if it's the same in other countries actually, but it's like the classic coming of age shot of like these young people dressed in their summer clothes on a road in the beautiful nature. And then Banafshe tells Arman, like, you look like you're in a cheesy coming of age film. And he's like, oh, nice. And yeah, first of all, I think it's funny. I hope it's funny. But also it kind of, really points out the strategy that we try to use of, showing this, like, asking these questions of who is allowed to have which kind of narratives. And like Benjamin just said, like, what kind of characters and bodies are often shown in contexts of like trauma and misery and suffering, and who's allowed to have like a light, cheesy coming of age moment. So I think I really like this moment where that becomes so clear.
Out of curiosity, where did the English translation of the film come from? Because it's not a literal translation, I guess where the no hard feelings come from, because that's not what it actually means in English, the title of the film.
Oh, it's a good question, and a long story. Like it took us so long to find the name for this film. In the very beginning, for the first 3 years of making it, it was called Us, and then the horror film Us came out, and it was like, okay, we need a new title. So the No Hard Feelings, it stems from the translation in this one scene where Parvis experiences this racist grinder dude, and it's kind of his way of this very like laid back millennial, too cool to care, but actually, of course, it affects me. Response to him that we thought was in a way fitting. And then also on the other hand, like, there are such hard feelings in this film, and there's so much like drama and teen angst and everything. So we thought it was kind of funny and fitting.
And
also there's a little Easter egg, but I don't think if a lot of people will catch it. There is a piece of clothing in Parvis' wardrobe that has No Hard Feelings printed on it.
I told the story wrong.
And that appears Yeah,
No,
but I think that's
but
the
the
right
story
story, because
is
we
that
were
in
looking
the very first version of the script, I hope I'm allowed to say this, Parvis was wearing a shirt that says "No hard feelings, just hard dick," and then and then we took it out of the script.
Yeah.
But somehow the "no hard feelings" part stayed. Isn't this how it happened? I think so.
That sounds beautiful. I just remember the T-shirt and then the scene. But this is that's enough reasons for the film to be called that way, I think.
I have to admit, I might pull this clip of the Q&A and actually use this to promote the film. People look for the shirt in the background. It's a nice little tidbit detail there.
And it's it comes up only very briefly, so it's a nice little thing to look for.
Yeah, I will tell you this: I did not notice it, and I'm typically very good at noticing certain details. But now I have to watch it again, and
Yes.
luckily we're streaming it, so it I can easily do it. How has the film been received? One, like in Germany, and out of curiosity, I mean, has it actually I guess how's the film been received? Where is it played, and what's been the reception where it is played?
I mean, in Germany, it's been really amazing. We've had, I think, 5 or 6 weeks in German cinemas, which was really great and always where we wanted to go with this film, because it was important to us to reach as many people as possible and not for it to just be like a festival film. And we actually achieved to get a lot of young people into cinemas, so like young queer people, young BPOCs. Which was super important to us, and did some great like cooperations and panel talks and stuff around the film. So I think in Germany it's been pretty great. Like there's been a lot of people telling us that they can relate a lot to the stories, and that it's narratives that are not usually represented or like misrepresented. But then also sometimes from like more like wide audiences, sometimes it's a bit like just very celebratory and saying like, oh, it's so great, it's so perfect, it's so diverse and new. And yeah, sometimes I think we're left a bit like confused by that reaction, because it actually kind of like asks questions and asks people to reflect on their own privileges and their own habits of watching and seeing. And it's kind of strange when the only response is like a well done. But there's been great like critical feedback also from queer BPOCs communities, for example, where it seems like people maybe have a more daring to give criticism. I don't know, but what do you think, Benjamin, about this?
I agree. I mean, we've certainly had a lot of reactions, and that in itself, I think, is a gift to us, especially during this time of the pandemic, that we got to screen the film at all and have so many people see it. And we had a little run in Holland, the Netherlands, and also in the UK now. And so that's been more than we had hoped for, to be honest, after everything sort of broke down. And I agree. I think also, to me, I am appreciative of all feedback, but the most maybe endearing or like important, most relevant feedback is the one by young BPOCs and queer people who feel uplifted by this film and also see it the way it's intended to be, as a sort of a starting point. It's not necessarily a film that's supposed to cover all necessary aspects of the lack of representation in media. And also, we aren't the most marginalized bodies you can find. This film is still mainly, a certain kind of aesthetic when it comes to physical appearance. And also, while I do think that it does work around gender subversive, depictions. Maybe it's still its own thing, and I think a lot of these people really celebrated it for what it is, a little like breakthrough and a beginning for something. And I think seeing this hope in people and the empowerment, especially young, I didn't know how many young queer POCs were working day and night, social workers and people who are engaged in sort of uplifting refugee youth and queer POC youth. And to see these people come to these Zoom meetings and tell us how much it means to them to see this film, because they've been having really, a tough time now, and there's no resources, and they're working every day, and sometimes even with political climate, it seems a little hopeless. And to have them come and sort of see how they feed off of that energy, I think that's been the most beautiful thing.
And that's actually just great to know and hear. And I'm actually, it's interesting. I've done a few of these Q&As before, and you were actually, one of the fortunate films to actually have that nice theatrical run, and I'm great that that actually happened and all that. And I think that's basically it. You kind of covered all the questions that I had. Like I said, I really enjoyed your film. I love that it was a familiar story, but not, and it was a different point of view. So, seeing, people that, quite frankly, as you just mentioned, that you don't often see depicted in queer cinema, and it's just so refreshing, and it's just refreshing to see a different point of view. It was an eye opener for us here as well. And I want to thank you for making the film, and I also thank you, for being here today in our virtual Q&A, and to let the audience know we're going to play the trailer of the film. And if you happen to be seeing the Q&A before you watch the film, watch the trailer, and then and come take a look at the film and see what we're just talking about. And Paulina, Benjamin, thank you again for being here today.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you for your nice words. Thank you. Means a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And now I'll play the trailer.
PARVIS
120 Sozialstunden, richtig? Das Ganze hier ist eine ehemalige Schule, wurde uns für das Wohnprojekt zur Verfügung gestellt.
تازه اومده فکر کنم اصلا اینجوریه دیوونه هست مامان پاشو.
Das war das erste Mal, dass ich was mit jemandem wie dir hatte. Ja, eigentlich stehe ich gar nicht so auf Ausländer.
عربی؟
نه ایرانی هستم.
ما اینجا زیادیم.
ازش خوشت میاد؟
نه.
Es tut mir leid.
فکر میکنم که خیلی چیزا هستم.
چه خوب که لازم نیست تصمیم بگیری.
Hast du mal über eine Schutzehe nachgedacht?
کونتو گذاشته بدبخت کثافت.
احساس میکنم زندگیم 2 قسمت شده. اون آدمی که میتونستم باشم و اون آدمی که امروز هستم.
I see.